Let's ride.
The new crackdown on TikTok. The Chinese-owned app is now banned in the entire state of Montana. Whit Johnson starts us off with the latest. Good morning, Whit.
Michael, good morning to you. So Montana is now taking the lead in this fight against TikTok over security and privacy concerns. But the app has more than 150 million users in the U.S., raising serious questions about enforcement and potential legal challenges.
This morning, Montana moving to become the first state in the U.S. to ban TikTok. Governor Greg Gianforte signing the bill into law, prohibiting the popular social media app from operating within state lines starting in January of 2024. The governor tweeting the law is meant to protect Montanans' personal and private data from the Chinese Communist Party.
We've just never seen something like this in the way of a ban on a social media app that so many millions of Americans use.
The ban is a major blow to content creators in the state like Adam Botkin, a former football player and recent University of Montana graduate who has 170,000 followers on the platform.
It hurts just because it's like one of the three main platforms that I've built a community on. It's the biggest one I've built a community on. But as a content creator, you kind of always have to adapt.
More than half of the states in the U.S. and the federal government already ban TikTok on government devices. This follows growing concerns that personal data could be shared with the Chinese government through TikTok's Beijing-based parent company, a claim that TikTok denies. The company responding to Montana's new law saying it infringes on the First Amendment rights of the people of Montana by unlawfully banning TikTok.
Now, the law states that it could fine TikTok or entities like app stores $10,000 per day for each time it allows someone to access the app. But those penalties would not apply to users, so enforcement gets very complicated, especially when it comes to people visiting from another state. George.
Okay, well, thanks very much.
Well, hey there.
5 minutes later.
In Montana, in response, TikTok put out this statement saying Governor Gianforte has signed a bill that infringes on the First Amendment rights of the people of Montana by unlawfully banning TikTok. She added that people can keep using the app as we continue working to defend the rights of our users inside and outside of Montana. We're live now to New York to speak to Sapna Maheshwari. She's a New York Times business reporter who covers TikTok and emerging media. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Will just take us through this, how this has come about and why Montana?
Sure. So this one-of-a-kind action really comes after a huge wave of bans on government devices, really from states all over the country, really more than a dozen. And Montana has escalated those efforts by saying in February that they were going to introduce a bill that would actually ban TikTok across the state. So not just for government employees, but for all people. It was debated quite roundly, but it made its way through different bodies of the state legislature, and it was a very big deal, of course, when it was signed into law yesterday.
And so there's a bit of time before this ban comes into force. And how easy will it be to enforce? Will it cover personal devices? I mean, how that can't be straightforward to actually put this into law.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions over how this would actually be enforced. It's easy to say, but there are questions.
5 minutes later.
As governor just signed the country's first law completely banning TikTok. It goes further than any other state's moves to ban that social media app. The ban is expected to face some legal challenges, potentially determining the fate of the app in the country. Now, in a statement, TikTok says the governor signed a bill that is, quote, infringing on First Amendment rights by unlawfully banning TikTok. It goes on to say people in Montana can continue to use the app to express themselves. We want to bring in NBC legal analyst Danny Savallo. Danny, what are the ins and the outs, I should say, of this ban? How can people still use this app in Montana if it's banned?
Well, apparently it doesn't criminalize actual users' conduct. It criminalizes the sale. So it targets the app sellers. That might be the App Store, or that might be TikTok itself. And that would make sense from Montana's perspective. Far better to go after a deep pocket like TikTok than go after individual users who are probably 18, 19 years old, and who knows if they have any assets or whether they're worth prosecuting. So probably a smart strategy if that's what the ban does, but it leaves itself open to a number of different challenges, most notably the First Amendment and something called the Dormant Commerce Clause. Basically, an individual state can't unnecessarily or unduly burden interstate commerce. But what exactly that means is a little hazy, and it's moved a lot over the years. Even in the last decade or so, it's been redefined. And then perhaps most importantly is that traditionally, the Commerce Clause dealt with things like widgets, tangible items that are sold in a particular state. It's a totally different thing with this modern use of the internet and apps like this, because where is it sold? Where is it used? Where is
built on legends, and that legends are a way of understanding things greater than ourselves, forces that shape our lives, events that defy explanation, individuals whose lives soar to the heavens or fall to the earth. This is how legends are born.